Hello, hello. I am back to help you do this thing called life. So, we have been talking about Jesus, his humanity, his temptations, his emotions, the way he dealt with people, his interactions, his I don't want to call them reactions, his responses to trouble, just how he treated people relationally, all the things that made him great, all the things that made him work, all the things that made him win. Those are the things that we've been looking at. And so yesterday we were talking about how the disciples, some of them wanted to know who was greatest in the kingdom, who would be the greatest. And then I even saw where James and John's mother went to Jesus crying and carrying on, asking, she had a request that one of her sons sit on the right and the other one on the left, and all kinds of stuff, y'all. Now, we do have the luxury of knowing that the kingdom of God is on another level. We have the luxury of knowing that Jesus is our king in another realm, but the disciples were walking with him. And it was a very political time, and they thought, or politics were heavy. I guess I shouldn't say a political time, but politics were heavy, and they thought that Jesus would be a natural king on the earth. And so a lot of this jockeying for position and really trying to elbow their way in and trying to see who's the greatest was on a natural, literal, physical level. And so in the message today, it's just an extension of that same type of thought where they were kind of feeling themselves, Here they are walking around. They're Jesus's entourage. They're his boys. He's about to be the king. And they're right there with him. And so they're starting to feel themselves. They're starting to kind of, think they all that. So today it's Mark 10:13 through 16. This is the message translation. Sorry, y'all. This is the message translation. The people brought their children to Jesus, hoping he might touch them. The disciples shooed them off, but Jesus was irate and let them know it. Don't push these children away. Don't ever get between them and me. These children are at the very center of life in the kingdom. Mark this. Unless you accept God's kingdom in the simplicity of a child, you'll never get in. Then, gathering the children up in his arms, he laid his hands of blessing on them. So, we have these people thinking they are the junk, right? They feel like, look, we are important and we have things to do, and these kids are getting on our nerves. Honey, those people didn't even come to see you. They came looking for Jesus. You saying they're in your way. They're in your way, but you're in their way. Like they are coming to see him. They don't want to see you. They didn't ask you to lay hands on their kids. They were trying to make it to Jesus. And Jesus let them know they were in the way. And so, y'all, we have to be careful that as we climb, as we go to these heights and levels and depths and everything else that God has told us we're going to, as you move into the arenas that he's ordained and destined for you to be in, don't forget what you're calling the little people. Don't forget little people. Don't forget people, period. The word says that the greatest among you is the one that's like a child. The greatest leader is the greatest servant. If you have someone who is good at what they do, but they're untouchable, unrelatable, then that ain't good. Man might put up with it, but God won't. If you got somebody who has proclaimed themselves to be all that, and they can't be touched. I feel like this: if you can't be touched physically, you can't be touched emotionally, which means that you are out of touch with the people that you're supposed to be serving. And that's a problem. That's a problem. So, y'all, I encourage you, remember that God has called you to people. Remember that there is something that He has for you to do. Remember why God allowed you to get the position you got. Because if you forget, life has a way of helping you remember. All right? Y'all just remember, don't have that can't touch this attitude. If they can't touch this, remember Jesus said, you might not touch the kingdom. Okay? Let's remember who we are and why we're here. This has been One More Minute with Marcy. I will be back tomorrow with another moment of momentum producing motivation. Until then, stay encouraged. And remember, you got to flutter before you can fly. But flying is in your future.